Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we're vibing, I think. Yeah, we just vibing. Not going to do Happy Home Paradise. I'll probably just save it for a weekend again. I'll just try and remind myself that we actually need to do a little bit of Happy Home Paradise customizations if I'm ever going to finish the campaign, quote quote. Not that there's really much rush. It is Animal Crossing after all. Slow and steady wins a race, as their tortoise of hair once taught us as children, and probably still teach us to this day. Sorry, just like hitting stuff on my desk, don't mind that. Just delaying time for Isabel to come up here so we can start getting into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. Hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 3:41 PM on Monday, February 7th, 2022. I said everyone really weirdly there. This may not count as news, but okay, so this is Crazy Red is our visitor for today, which is not bad actually, because the more times Crazy Red visits just mean the more opportunities we'll get to see a larger stock of his inventory, and we only have a small handful of paintings left. Limited time offer. I did see that on Nook Shopping. Although it was a big game stuff, so I just had to, I read the sentence, but I just had to process it, I suppose, in mind. Oh, Pecan's sending us letters now. My dear, is there anything better than receiving letters? Something like a blue hit heart goes pitter patter. We have had that letter quite a few times before. Sorry, Pecan, it's a bit cold-hearted for us to throw it away. We probably shouldn't have thrown it away because we haven't got a letter from Pecan yet. Now I think about it. I forgot I put all these statues down, didn't I? What was I going to talk about in my mind? I mean, it's just a small thing. It wasn't particularly exciting. I had a dentist appointment today. All went fine. My teeth are fine, basically. I do have a tendency to brush a bit too hard compared to what you particularly need to. You only need like a light touch, and especially with what do they call it? Electric toothbrush. I just realised I called them automatic toothbrushes when I was talking to a dentist, but it doesn't really matter. The electric ones where you got a little light which lights up if you push too hard on them. Apparently, I have been following that, but maybe I'm still pushing a little bit too hard down. And as my dentist was like, just be a little bit careful about that sort of thing. I was like, you know what, fair enough. And it's a lot better nowadays, I suppose, going to a dentist, especially compared to teenage years, because I actually take good care of my teeth now. So it's not like my gums aren't bleeding and I'm like, I don't want to go to a dentist. Well, actually, I never really mind a dentist. So it's just more like it was just a little bit painful, probably because I wasn't like flossing or anything like that. But nowadays, dental hygiene rather important. Sorry, Apollo, not going to chat with you because you're going to ask to move probably. But I was going to talk about that. It's not particularly interesting. I've talked about dentists before. I think we'll talk about dentists another time. Perhaps next time I go to the dentist in 9 months or so, we can figure out there. No, what I'm going to talk about is so ages ago, I was talking about building a card game back in December, whatever, for one of my friends on his birthday, and it was like a one of those collaborative things. Ooh, oh, that's a fake Nefertiti, isn't it? Yeah, that's definitely fake. This is fake. I don't remember. I think this one's always legitimate. I don't know about the one at the back, if that's legitimate or not all the time as well. I don't even know if we need it, so I'm gonna have a quick search just to double check. I'm pretty sure with earring is a fake bust of Nefertiti. Let's see, bust of. The forged statue has an earring where the genuine does not. I can't believe how many times we've seen this bust of Nefertiti and it's been fake every single time. It's actually unbelievable at this point. I don't know what this the French Revolution one is called, to be honest, so I'm gonna have to find it. The perfect painting is always authentic. I'm pretty sure we have it. Let's see what it's called. Worthy painting is always authentic, and it seems like we already have it. So these paintings, we all got, all they're fake, or they are fake, and I don't think we got another copy of the worthy painting, so we'll just buy it. Why not? Yeah. Ages ago we were talking about building a card game, and we did. We built an initial prototype of a card game. I wasn't unfortunately there on his birthday to actually play it with him, unfortunately. But apparently, they played it and it just took forever. Not like in a spiteful way or anything. It was just more like we had to learn rules, and it's a kind of complicated game as well. And unfortunately, I was a little bit too worried about the fact that I thought the game would happen a bit too quickly, so I pulled back a little bit about currency gain and that sort of thing, and I ended up putting about, as it turns out, too much, and everything was too slow. So now I'm done a lot of the things that I pulled back on before that, and I've gone through and rebalanced all the cards. But of course, the way we made the cards before was we just made them manually. At least I use Clip Studio Paint, and my other friends, they use Paint.net, and it took ages. It took absolutely ages having to basically click on all the correct layers and export it as a right thing, make sure everything's right. When you go through and had to do it for 40 cards, for all personal character cards. Not only that, there were 40 item cards, 40 companion cards as well, adventure cards as well, and it just took forever doing it. So I was like, there has to be a better way. What do people who actually make card games do? And I was like, you know, if I was in that system, what would I do? I wouldn't personally, but I'd probably, you know, hire someone to program like some sort of engine where I could just like put in the card details and it would just make a card or something like that. I'm like, and then I thought about that more, and I was like, that makes sense. Why doesn't that exist? Look it up. It does exist. There's a helpful tool out there called Nandeck, which is, as far as I'm aware, just made by this one guy who just has like, I assume just like a love for card games or whatever, and just made this awesome free to use tool to make cards in, and it's so much faster. It took a bit of time to get a handle on it, because, you know, I had to learn how to sort of not really program. Well, it is kind of programming, I suppose, in my language, but it's not like particularly complicated programming, I'll be perfectly honest. But yeah, it took a little bit of time to figure out exactly how to talk syntax wise. We got a recipe from Woody, so oh no, hold on, we need to give a present to Pecan. I forgot. It took a bit of time to get the syntax down and understand things, but, you know, and I did a first batch of cards and they all look perfectly fine. And now, anytime I need to update anything, it can be done so much more simply, which is fantastic, don't you think? Isn't it fantastic? Don't you think? Yeah, because I mean beforehand we had to like put on all the correct layers, export every single card individually, and, you know, you had to repeat that 40 times. Now it's just sort of like, ooh, okay, set up the exact framing for the card, get a CSV file with all the information you need in it, and then just, you know, feed it into the program. Boom, done. Once you set up the framing exactly correctly, you can now update everything very quickly, exactly how you wish. You want to be like, oh, I want to change the card back. Not card back, I suppose, and they want to change like some framing, I suppose, on cards. Easy to do, easily enough. Be like, oh, I want to make all the pictures a little bit bigger. Perfectly done. Be like, oh, you know, I want to change. I want to give all the cards like a little logo or something on the bottom right corner. Simple, you know, and it's fantastic. Modern day convenience of things like that, and, you know, you really got to give it to the people who make these sort of like open. Well, I assume it's open source. I don't actually know. I'll be perfectly honest, but like anyway, these open projects, just giving away these free programs. For these, honestly, it's kind of quite a niche situation, I suppose, or literally assembling cards, I suppose, for card games. I suppose you can probably use it for other things as well. Anything you need to really change it on a sort of like large scale. And massive respect to all the programmers out there who just release it for free. You know, just do it out of the goodness of our hearts. People like me who use them after time being like, how do I use them? Very much appreciate it. I should probably donate, you know, a little bit to continue the support. Although, to be fair, I don't know exactly always have money to donate for that sort of thing. So, you know, when I do, I will. Certainly. So yeah, if you ever needed to create a card game and needed to basically make like huge amounts of cards, Nandeck, fantastic tool to use. Took a little bit of time to get sort of like a handle on it, but I've got a handle on it now, and it's surprisingly swift. And the good thing is, now I've made the first sort of stencil outline. I suppose for one deck of cards, I can reuse it for basically 3 of the other decks, and then for the other 2 decks, I can use it almost the same, just with little adjustments here and there. So yeah, it was a little bit frustrating at first, you know, trying to figure out exactly how to use it, because I was just like, I don't really understand what's going on. There's a visual editor, and then there's also a thing where you can put in the exact measurements of where cards had to go and that sort of thing. But annoyingly, I made the initial cards in Clip Studio Paint, which Clip Studio Paint is not an illustrative program. It's not a design-based program. It's meant to be for like digital art and that sort of thing. Not meant to be so much for like vector stuff and designing things like Adobe Illustrator is, for example. So it's kind of difficult to try and like find out how the measurements work and that sort of thing, and then putting it into the program and finding out the program like rounds things, because it doesn't do things on a pixel-based system or something. It does things based on like a percentage-based system, and it's very confusing. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I need and following tutorials along. The most annoying thing, I suppose, if you want to use Nandeck, by the way, you know, and you follow this tutorial, this guy made a really helpful tutorial. But I didn't realise that page is different from card size as not a command, as a property, I suppose, or a thing, which I didn't realise. I was trying to change a card size, but the tutorial used page, but he used it because I guess he was printing out, he was trying to change the page size that he was using for printing. But I thought it was a card size, and I couldn't figure out why my card size wasn't changing. That was very frustrating until, you know, I finally decided to actually look up a manual, more like I realised there was a manual to look up, and I found card sizes. I was like, oh my god, I've been using the wrong thing every single time. Which if that ain't just like, you know, the program sort of life cycle, then I don't know what is. So it's a little bit annoying, but you know, now once I've got a handle on things, things are much better. I still got to, you know, figure out a few things about it. I've got to figure out how to get Unicode working, because this is even another great thing about this program is it supports HTML like coding. You can I don't understand why this exercise, this one particular motion never seems to work whenever I try to do it. It accepts HTML and that sort of thing, so you can use HTML to basically do a whole wild variety of things. So yeah, I'm finally getting around to actually, you know, finishing that birthday present, which a couple months, a little bit late. It's not that. It's like a month or two. 2 months, I suppose, later. It's a little bit delayed and that sort of thing, but hopefully it'll be in a practical sense, and hopefully it'll be a lot more customizable. So now, if I want to add more cards to it or whatever, I'll have a lot more fun with it. And it got me thinking, because, you know, back when I was like, oh, you know, I think it'd be interesting to design like a simple card game, something, you know, along the lines of like Sushi Go, something very small scale. What it'd be like, but I was like, after making the cards for his birthday, I was like, oh my word, making cards is by far and away the worst thing I've ever experienced. But now I was like, oh, free programs out there to do it, fantastic. And it got me thinking. I was like, I wonder what's used in a professional world. You know, like how do like Magic the Gathering do it? I suppose there's no way to individually design each card, of course. So they'll probably have some sort of engine or system in place to get everything to come together. But I wonder what they use. Do they have their own like sort of custom-made one for exactly what they wanted? Is that like an industry standard, like one which, you know, like the Adobe standard? No, hold on. Let's customize. I don't know what we've not customized for a while. Fishing rod? I don't think we've done fishing for a while, to be honest. Is that like some sort of industry standard? Because, you know, there's lots of like niche programs out there which you might not expect. Like, I suppose you might not think about it, but there's so many different like niche like animating programs. Things like rig up 2D skeletons, things to rig up 3D skeletons, things to like do motion tracking, stuff like that. Which of course the industry professionals use, because they need very specific programs to do very specific things, right? As great as these open source and free projects are, they're open source and free, so only certain much has actually been invested into them in the first place, I suppose. Which means that, yeah, only a certain amount has been invested into them in the first place, which means perhaps not quite up to, like, you know, understandably, it can't quite compare to, you know, a team of, like, hundreds working on making this one software. Well, you'd hope. You'd hope. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the industry standard, I suppose, is for card creation games, for creating card games. I wonder how many people have used Nandeck, to be honest, to do this sort of thing. Perhaps it's a lot more ubiquitous than you might thought, because there's a lot of probably like indie game creators out there who do their own sort of thing. I know you might be asking, what sort of card game would you make? I'm not really sure, but I would certainly want it to be quite simple. You know, something like Coup, something like Sushi Go, something where it's just like it doesn't take long to explain to people, and then with that you can just sort of do whatever you want. You can just have fun playing your game. Where am I going? Oh, we're gonna get these fossils. We're gonna get these fossils analysed, even though Pecan, even though we might get a mission for it later. You guys, we need to give something to Pecan. Today. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with this, to be perfectly honest. I feel like I sort of lost track of this. I don't know what I want to... I guess it's something like specialized programs? Or something? I don't know, if you ever want to make a card game or something out there, certainly use Nandeck. I'm not sure how else you do it, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. Computer software for making card games. 5 best free card game making software for Windows. Magic Set Editor. I don't know what this is. Photo card maker. Card maker. There you go, Nandeck. Good old Nandeck there. I don't know what these ones are. Nandeck was just the one I saw was recommended. GIMP. Oh, GIMP must be an absolute nightmare. Oh, you need to use external templates to do it on GIMP. Oh, interesting. I wonder if Clip Studio Paint has some sort of extensions of that. Best free software for designing cards, according to Board Game Geek. Now, these people are probably experts in this sort of thing. Oh, for that makes sense. They would use InDesign. InDesign is an Adobe software. I've used it like once in like graphics back in school. I can't remember what we designed with it. Maybe like a magazine or something. That makes sense. InDesign makes sense. It probably has the tools. in it and like mass produce things like that. Inkscape, I don't know what Inkscape is. If you used InDesign, Creative Cloud's expensive, especially now with subscription-based models, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah, GIMP and that sort of thing's pretty cool. I suppose it depends on what you need, really. I'll take 5 of these. Andrea Nand. This is a person who made Nandeck. I wonder what else it made. Andrea Nand. Nandblog. Bit Italian. Best game ever. I don't know what the heck's going on here. Anyway, thank you, Andrea, for creating such a wonderful tool. We're going to hop on over to Red's Island now. I'm just reading stuff about this now. I don't even know what's going on. 7 million played games. I'm just on their blog now, it seems. Did they actually play 7 million games? What on earth is going on? I have no idea what's going on. Sorry, I'm not actually looking at my screen. Sorry, I'll look at this another time. I'm just trying to think of like other sort of specific software. Like I remember back in, what year was I in? Year 9? Maybe year 7? I wanted to make a game or something, and at the time I was interested in fighting games. I don't know why, because I didn't even play fighting games. I think I just conceptually liked the idea of fighting games. And yeah, there's a thing called like Mugen or something. I don't even know how Mugen works or something. But I believe it's sort of engine for actually creating or maybe simulating fighting games. I'm not really sure. I think it's an engine for fighting games. Oh, you know what? It's probably because of Main 6. They were making a fighting as magic game, and I was like, oh, I want to see if I can do that sort of thing as well. And they were making it in oh, what's it called? Like a fighting game maker or something. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try and make my own sort of thing in that as well. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'd make my own character, make a fighting game character for that, and I'd get some of my other school friends and they can design characters and that sort of thing, and I'll put them into the game, and that'll be that. Of course, me being in year 9, that puts me about 13. That's pretty ambitious to make an entire game when I'm 13. So of course that didn't actually happen. The closest I got to was like I made these 2 stickman characters and gave them 2 special moves, and got that working in Fighting Game Simulator. No, not Fighting Game Simulator, Fight Game Maker? I can't remember what it's called, to be honest. Yeah, we'll put these statues away. I don't think we need to hold them anymore. This stuff can all go away as well. Yeah, and I remember they gave them special moves. I can't even remember what the special moves were. And it was very difficult trying to follow along to the tutorial, because the tutorialization back then wasn't great. I can't remember what I did. I remember one of their moves was like, if you know Cerebella's Diamond Dynamo? Yeah, Dynamo attack, where she does sort of like the windmill arms. That was one of the attacks. I can't remember what the other one was, I'll be perfectly honest. It was also not a very good sort of stickman fighting game, but you know, it was something that I did, and it was quite fun. I guess it kind of reminds me of Scratch, well, not Scratch or anything, but like the same sort of concept of Scratch, of using like an engine to build something. I'm not very much a person to build something in the engine, but if you give me an engine, or certainly, I suppose, trying to figure out how to build something in it, it's certainly a lot more fun for me, to a certain degree. So I guess you could say I'm more of like a front-end or high-level programmer, probably. Ooh, Island's Wealth. I guess we should have come here first before we tried to get the Money Rock. Because now the Money Rock will give us more money, but alas, oh Yorick, I knew him well, Horatio. We are not. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just trying to think about what else to really say about that sort of thing. These specialised tools. Have I ever used another sort of like specialised program for something like this? I'm not sure. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. I mean, I guess a lot of these programs are kind of specialised. I mean, OBS itself is kind of specialised. It's for recording things, I suppose, on your computer, or not necessarily on your computer, but recording capture through some sort of thing. I don't know. It feels a little bit less specific, I suppose, than someone like Nandeck is. Nandeck being a very specific card creating tool. Yeah, I don't know. And part of me is also just like, oh, I want to continue like making the rest of the cards and getting them finished and that sort of thing. But also I've got other stuff I need to do, so you know I probably shouldn't concentrate on that yet. But yeah, it's just a fun experience. You know, I still got like I've got some artwork I need to do. I've got some you know, just like general programming stuff I always need to do. I got some writing stuff to do. About writing club. I didn't actually talk about that. I guess I should have talked about that. Like, ugh. I didn't mean to give you my star net. Well, I need to go buy a net now. Oh my god, I can't believe that happened. You know, I'm gonna blame Joy-Con drift, but I think what happened there was just that I accidentally hit up twice. It wasn't even Joy-Con drift. I can't even catch the snowflakes now, which is my other mission. What? It's like one of the worst tools to actually give. Oh well, let's go buy a net. No, what was I going to say? I can't remember. I was going to say something about these specialised tools. I actually legitimately just forgot, like, the train I thought I was on. No star net. We had to deal with an outdoorsy net. Gosh. Yeah, these sort of like niche tools. Something about Nandeck. Yeah, it's cool. It exists. I really can't. Oh yeah. No. Oh, the writing club thing. That's right. No, I think that's probably something I should talk about in another episode. So I guess it was kind of a bit pointless for me to remember it. But yeah, it went pretty well. I still need to write for one which is for this Thursday. To be honest, I have an idea, but it's not as like I don't have a greater spark with this idea. I didn't, you know. There's less motivation, I suppose, because it's not so clear in my mind, so I don't really know how to do it. And it's always very difficult sometimes, I suppose, trying to write exactly the story I want to convey through words. But you know, that's the point of it, to get some practice down, to keep it going, to, you know, get it done, as they say. I have an idea, just, you know, I've got to get around to it. But I also got a drawing I want to finish, I suppose. You know, I take too long drawing a lot of time as well, you know. So I'm like, I should do a lot of like smaller, quicker drawings and that sort of thing. So I don't, because like for the past like 3 months, apart from like the thumbnail arts, I didn't really do much other drawing apart from that, the thumbnail arts. So I was just like, oh, you know, I've got to get back into it at some point. Well, I mean, I don't have to, but it'd be nice to. You know, I want to play piano. Oh, you know, there's too many things. There's not enough time in my day to do these sort of things. If only there were. If only I could. Anyway, yeah, specialised tools. I'm trying to think, have I used any other specialised tools? It just makes me remember things like Scratch and build your own blocks. And oh, what was the no, was it Windows? Maybe it was a Microsoft one. Android development tool, something like that. I can't really recall. These are things we used back in like IT class. Now, have I talked about this? Yeah, we had like an IT class where we had to like sort of make. They sort of kind of taught you the sort of the backbone of like how to program, except well, not really. It was more like we used a lot of Code Academy, so I knew syntax wise like how to like do things in JavaScript, like how to define functions and stuff, like not like a straightforward stuff, but I didn't actually know how to use it in a practical sense. What I mean by that would be like, oh, you know, if you gave me like a terminal and you were like, oh, program, I don't know, rock, paper, scissors, I'd be like, done, easy. And you're like, okay, now you know, with your code, make it run on your computer. I'd be like, got no idea how to do that. Don't even know what programming really is, to be honest, apart from the syntax with his language and that sort of thing. But yeah, the way they introduced it to us was through Scratch and through build your own blocks and basically seeing what you could do with that. I don't remember what I did with Scratch, to be perfectly honest, but Scratch is you know, anything with any sort of programming sense in it can be surprisingly deep. It's surprisingly impressive what people can come up with. I'm really trying to remember what I made in Scratch, but I honestly can't recall off the top of my head. Anyway, it involved things like that, and we ended up having to play like other games, make other things, and including this one time we had like a school event thing where we used this. Oh, what was it called? It was called like Greenfoot, I think it was based in Java. It was like we were going to enter this competition, I suppose, and see if what game we can make in that. Except for I didn't really have programming experience. I just understood how to like do stuff in Scratch, and I had like a logical brain, but I didn't really understand what programming was properly. So when it came time to do that, we're not very good at making game. You know, nowadays I think I'd be much better at making game. Heavens forbid, about 10 years of experience, I suppose, not on making games, but like doing projects would allow me to be able to have a much stronger sense of exactly what I need to get done, I suppose, to actually create something. I guess that's probably to be expected. I guess that's kind of a specialised tool as well. It was just kind of for making games, I think. I know, you might be like, hey, what did you make? We made... It was meant to be like some sort... Oh, that's a really pretty letter card. We made a... I'm trying to think. It was meant to be like a dueling game where you played as dragons, and it was like a wizard duel sort of like top-down thing. Except for it didn't work. I'll be perfectly honest, it was terrible. And we never finished it. Mainly because I didn't want to. But you know, nowadays, could I program something like that? Maybe. I could do a very sort of basic programming thing, but I think I'd probably just use an engine. I mean, nowadays especially, there's so many more like free softwares you can use. You know, you can use Unity. I don't know if can you use Unreal, probably not. What's the other one? There's Unity and there's another really popular one, which is like free or whatever, which people can use to make games. You know, you even got RPG Maker. Even some great games are made on that. Undertale. There's another one which was, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. Oh well. there's some really cool stuff you can make in these like specific software programs. So I encourage you, if you're interested in any of those sort of things, pick up one of those things, make a very simple game. Keep, and I can't reiterate this enough, if you're making a project, keep your scope small. You know, you may be like, oh, I want to put all these mechanics in, I've got all these fantastic ideas. No, screw all of that. Choose one mechanic, like, oh, I want to make a platformer or something, and make that first, and then add the mechanics once you've put all that stuff in. Please, please, please do that if you ever try and make any sort of project. Now, you know, if you're anything like me, even upon hearing that advice, you'd be like, you know, I know what I'm doing. It'll be fine. You know, and then you just continuously add more and more mechanics, I suppose, as you go, or at least have ideas to, and never actually put them into practice or anything. And then your project just ends up being unfinished and not at all what you wanted in the end, because you couldn't put all these crazy number of mechanics that you really wanted to in. So yeah, and I guess that's a lesson everyone needs to learn about scope of projects and that sort of thing, huh? We certainly need a coconut before we plant the tree. So yeah, I don't know, that's just my advice. 1, just do it, and 2, keep it simple, and then build up once you've done the simple part, you know? Because it only gets more and more complicated and more things you try and add, hey? I don't know why so many of my episodes just sort of go into weird diversions of me just giving like life advice or something. I'm not even sure I'm most qualified to really give out this sort of life advice, you know? Like, people have lived like my lifetime 3 times over, probably. Yeah, well, hold on, that's not that unreasonable. Whatever 24 by 3 is. 72? That sounds about right. Probably your advice is a lot more fitting, but you know, if I can give advice, I suppose, to teenagers and or like people, I don't know. Yeah, I guess teenagers are probably around the right sort of age. I can still give advice to them, you know. We're all teenagers once, unless you're not a teenager yet, in which case I suppose you will become a teenager. I don't really know, but I'm losing track of it. I'm just trying to fill up time before I round off this episode here. I think it's a good time to do so. So yeah, if you want to make cards, Nandeck, great simple software. Doesn't matter what software you use. If you want to make something, just do it. Just get started, you know. And then you can refine it later. You can make better ones later, but you got to get started at some point with any hobby. So yeah, I'm going to round off this episode here. If you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.